In 1991, our Denver Rotary Board here at Denver Club asked me to head up a task force to find a new fundraiser since our wonderful Artist of America show was starting to wane after 20 years. Our Branch Rickey Award was the result. We decided that this was to be a unique community service award given annually here in Denver, honoring those individuals, whether they be players, owners, managers, or front office personnel, who personify Rotary's motto, service above self. We wanted to honor those who give back to their communities and were good role models for our youth. There were dozens of annual awards for performance on the baseball field, such as most home runs, best batting average, highest slugging percentage, and so on. After 22 years, we've honored the best in baseball: pitchers, fielders, managers, and front office personnel. But the inspiring characteristics of all of these winners has been their caring, their compassion for our youth, their generosity, especially with challenges all over the world and here in the United States. It is indeed inspiring to all Denver Rotarians, and the Branch Rickey Award has been given to these 22 recipients. This year will be our 23rd. The Rotary magazine has covered 3 events that the magazines went out to 1,200,000 Rotarians all over the world, telling about the Branch Rickey Award. And Branch Rickey was selected as the outstanding sports figure of the 20th century. Rotarians, we focus on the positive, life-changing aspects of community service. Put our 23rd annual Branch Rickey Award this November 14th, Friday night, at the Civic Center Library on your calendars. You too will be inspired. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Please continue to enjoy your meal as we get started with our program today. We have a lot of excitement coming up today, and I wanted to give you just a brief overview of why we're here and why this event that we're going to talk about today is so important. You've been hearing a lot over time about the local programs that we do. You've heard presentations about international projects, wonderful projects that our Rotary Club is responsible for. And the only way that we can do those projects is by raising money and being able to distribute that in the appropriate ways. And I wanted to explain really briefly that Rotary has 2 foundations. One is the Rotary International Foundation, for which we're raising money through our challenge from the San Diego Rotary Club. That foundation funds things like global grants, and most of the dollars that we give to that international foundation come back to our World Community Service Committee to fund projects like water projects in Burkina Faso and educating women in Bosnia. Those projects have global impact. The other is our Denver Rotary Club Foundation, which is our local foundation. Not every club has those. That foundation funds things like local projects associated with youth and education, such as Denver Kids. And so our speaker today, in following through after our announcement about the Branch Rickey Award, is a perfect segue, because that's the kind of program that this Branch Rickey Award funds. It's very important that all of us are involved in fundraising for both of those foundations. So, just wanted to set that stage. It's sometimes not so clear, especially to new members, that we have those 2 foundations, but both are extremely important. Now I'd like to introduce Christy Schaefer, who is Vice President at Junior Achievement, to give our Secretary's report.
Thank you, President Jim. Welcome, everyone, and happy Thursday. I'd like to start by welcoming all of our guests and visiting Rotarians. So as I call your name, if you would please go ahead and stand up, that would be terrific so we can recognize you. I'll start with Katie Moran, who is a guest of Mark Donovan and Sue Fox. Katie, There you are. Welcome. Thomas Harding is a guest of Charlie Miller. Welcome. Patrick Saunders, also a guest of Charlie Miller. Welcome. And Danae Woody, is she here yet, Lonnie? Wonderful. Welcome. And I do have to say, Danae just turned in her application to become a member, so welcome, welcome. Russell Kemp is here with Mike O'Connell. Welcome, Russell. Justin Montgomery is here with Carter Sales. Glad to have you, Justin. And Melissa Zintop is here with Carol Duncan. Thank you for being here, Melissa. And then we have two visiting Rotarians. John Altland is here from the Golden Club. John, welcome. And then we also have Maxim Shirogin, who is here visiting from Berkeley, and we have a flag exchange. Come on up. Okay, and did I miss anyone? Oh, yes, please. Oh, woohoo, another new member. Thank you for standing up. It's terrific. Anyone else? Nope? Okay, great. On with our announcements. So we have another Rotary Connect Happy Hour coming up on September 23rd at Hacienda, Colorado at I-25 and Colorado Boulevard. This is being sponsored by Daniel Schrader of Epic Financial. So Daniel was at my fellowship meeting. Daniel, are you here today? It was great to get to know him a little bit better if you haven't met him yet. And if you want any more information on that, you can see Lonnie Langton. We will be meeting off-site for the Rotary District Area 1 Club Assembly on Wednesday evening, October 29th at the Federal Reserve Bank Convention Center. You will receive more details about this as it comes closer. Then this Sunday, September 21st, is World Peace Day. Peace Day is an opportunity for UN agencies and NGOs to focus on their ongoing life-saving activities within a global context. The impact of a day of global ceasefire and nonviolence cannot be underestimated. The Rotarian Action Group for Peace invites you to share a personal message of peace on the Paradise Family Foundation Facebook page. So again, that's the Paradise Family Foundation Facebook page. And then finally, we have some terrific news for Family of Rotary. First, Nancy Austin. Nancy, where are you? Congratulations on the birth of your grandson, Jackson. That is awesome. Jackson was born on September 10th, so congrats. And then McKayan Ziegler is in Mexico this week getting married. Aw, I wanted to get married in Mexico. Rich Harris and family have adopted their 9th son. Rich, are you here? Oh my gosh. If anyone needs counseling on patience, I think they should see Rich. So congratulations to everyone. And then finally for our mission moment this week, to follow, I'm playing cleanup. I'm going to be the cleanup batter here regarding the proceeds for Branch Rickey. So as Jim explained, we have two foundations. One is our local, and then, of course, the Rotary International Foundation. And Branch Rickey, every week I've been highlighting different projects that our club and our club's foundation supports with financial contributions. When I talk about that, 25% of that money that goes to support those local projects comes from Branch Rickey. So it is incredibly important. In fact, 100% of the proceeds from Branch Rickey, that's where it goes, is to support that local outreach. So it's very important. And then 50% of the proceeds raised through Branch Rickey go to Denver Kids. And to put that in perspective, since their inception in 1946, Glenna, are you listening? Denver Kids has received over $4 million in grants from Denver Rotary. So that is terrific. And just specifically through Branch Rickey, it has generated over $1.5 million in the last 22 years. And I know we have another $1.5 million coming in over the next couple decades. So congratulations to everyone, and hope to see you there on November 14th.
Thank you very much, Christy. Now I'd like to introduce our own Charlie Miller, who, by the way, is putting in hours and hours and a lot of hard work in this event, our Branch Rickey Award. Charlie has some guests here, and he'll be introducing those. I just want to say thank you, Charlie, even before it all happens.
Yeah, it's commiseration. It's not thanks. Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. Today we have the honor of having a former Rocky, a major leaguer, he's even played in the Japan leagues, but Ryan Spilborghs. Okay. Ryan Spilborghs is our guest today, and he will be our MC for the night of November 14th. And he's also going to be involved in the video presentation about the winner. And this year's event is again sponsored by our own Earl Wright and AMG National Trust Bank. Next week, Earl will be telling us about a challenge that he is offering to our club for an additional $10,000 if we're able to get 2/3 participation in, of all our club members in the event. So we'll be looking forward to Earl's presentation next week. Ryan Spilborghs made his major league debut with the Rockies on July 16th, 2005, and he recorded his first big league hit in that very first game. It was a single to right. His career highlight came on August 24th, 2009, in the 14th inning of a game against the San Francisco Giants when the Rockies were down 4-2. He hit the first walk-off grand slam home run in Rockies history. So, okay. He has a career .276 batting average in his 6 seasons in the major leagues. Last year, he played for the Saitama Seibu Lions in the Japanese Pacific League. This year, he's joined Root Sports and is an analyst both in the Rockies pregame and postgame shows, as well as other assignments for the Root Sports Network. And now to introduce us to the winner of the 2014 Branch Rickey Award, please welcome Ryan Spilborghs.
Thank you, Charlie. Good afternoon, Rotarians. It's kind of fun to say. It is a pleasure for me to be associated with the Rotary Club of Denver. I have followed your award for years, and I understand its importance to the players who win it. Thinking back to 1992, Dave Winfield was your first recipient. Kirby Puckett, Ozzie Smith, Tony Gwynn, all Hall of Famers. Last year, Clayton Kershaw, a future Hall of Famer. It is one thing to receive an award for performance on the field, but it's much more meaningful to be honored for actions off the field. Rotary deserves a standing ovation for creating and sustaining such a prestigious national award. Good job, you guys. The theme of this year's Branch Rickey Award is courage, commitment, and compassion. Branch Rickey certainly possessed these attributes. Jackie Robinson shared these traits throughout his brilliant career. And as you will see, so does this year's recipient. At 17, this year's winner signed with the Boston Red Sox right after graduating high school in Florida. In May of his first season in Single A with the Greenville, South Carolina Drive, he was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. Although devastated by the news, he summoned the courage to stand up and fight cancer. After months of painful chemotherapy, his cancer went into remission. His experience convinced him that an individual does not fight this alone, that his entire family is also affected. During his fight with the illness, he made a commitment to one day be a role model to help patients and their family. He began turning this dream into reality in 2012 when he founded a family foundation to raise money for cancer research and provide support for children and families fighting the disease. The foundation's first 4 events raised more than $500,000. His next event, the 3rd annual Walk Off Cancer, will be held on November 16th, 2 days after our award banquet. His compassion for kids with cancer is clearly evident. I'm proud to announce that the winner of the 2014 Branch Rickey Award is Anthony Rizzo for the All-Star Chicago Cubs, first baseman. All right, now I'd like you to take a moment and watch the video.
My name is Anthony Rizzo, and I'm the first baseman for the Chicago Cubs. And I'm living out my dream by playing baseball, especially here in Chicago at Wrigley Field in front of the best fans in the world. My path to Wrigley Field wasn't a straight one. In 2008, I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. This story is about my family and families like mine. Because when a child is diagnosed with cancer, the entire family battles the disease.
Anthony was always very athletic. Even as a baby, he always wanted to play catch, and he loved to play outside, and he was always very competitive, always determined. Anything he tried to do, until he could master what he was trying to do, he just kept doing it. And when he was in high school in his sophomore year, he was always great at baseball, playing baseball, just playing all the time. His first year in Single A in Greenville, South Carolina, and he called me and he was like, I feel really run down. And a few days later, he still didn't feel right. His stomach wasn't feeling good, and then his legs swelled up. They ran a lot of tests, and that's when we found out that he had Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Each year, around 13,500 children are diagnosed with cancer in the U.S.
What went on when we first found out was just a mix of emotions. We had no idea what we were about to get into.
It was probably the worst feeling of my life to hear that news, and just to see his reaction. It was awful.
I was 18, I was playing baseball every day. I was going after my dream, and it was kind of taken all away. For them to come in and tell us, it was just kind of devastating.
Just like something came over him, and he just got strong. He just was like, all right, let's get going. I want to get this out of my body. All the little stuff really doesn't matter after you go through something like that. You just see everything a lot differently.
A very special opportunity to help out and give back, and it's something we said right when I was sick, that one day I'll be able to have my own foundation and help out with kids and families. I mean, my parents are always put people first, and be able to wake up and walk and go brush my teeth. There's kids that have to have 24-hour guidance all the time and can't do anything on their own, and the family goes through just as much as the patient. So to help out any way we can really helps out people, and it's easier to relate when I tell them that I went through the same thing and had cancer. It's even crazier when they perk up like, oh, really, no way.
My name is Ron. My hero is Anthony Rizzo. I like watching the Cubs games.
I see him so much, and it's fun to talk to him and things. But my best memory of him was when I met him first. in the Spinal Tap room. He said hi, and what's her name? He gave me a tip about playing first base, which is catch the ball. When I grow up, I want to be a baseball player. Anthony Rizzo is my hero.
Well, Anthony made his Major League debut with the Cubs on June 26, 2012, and delivered an immediate impact on the team's then struggling offense. He became the first player in Cubs history to hit 3 game-winning RBIs in his first 5 games with the team. His 7 home runs that July were the most by a rookie since 1983. This season, Anthony received more than 8.8 million votes in the MLB final vote to be elected to the National League All-Star team. It's particularly gratifying to honor someone who is doing so much for so many at such a young age. At 25, Anthony is the youngest person to receive the Branch Rickey Award, beating last year's winner, Clayton Kershaw, by only 5 months. I hope you will all make plans to join us Friday, November 14th, to celebrate the courage, commitment, and compassion of Anthony Rizzo as we enshrine him as the 23rd member of the Baseball Humanitarians Hall of Fame. I look forward to seeing you both at the banquet and at the extra innings after party. Thank you again for all your time.
Thank you, Ryan. And Root Sports is our media sponsor, and we're very happy to have Ryan as our MC for the night of November 14th. In case you hadn't heard of it yet, we have a new night that's going to be Friday night, November 14th. Yep, okay. And a new location. It's not going to be at the Marriott. Don't go to the Marriott. Don't come to the Denver Athletic Club. It will be at the McNichols Events Center. It's the corner of Colfax and Bannock, right across from the City and County building. And they're not just one event. It's not just a banquet. It will be a banquet together with the extra innings after party, all at the same location. The banquet will be on the 3rd floor, the after party on the 2nd floor, along with the silent auction. So, table sponsorships are still available. Even though we have our sponsor, AMG National Trust Bank, we have additional opportunities. You can be a Grand Slam sponsor, $10,000. Home run sponsor, $7,500. MVP sponsor, $5,000. And an all-star sponsor at $2,500. And all of those people will get tickets to both the banquet and the extra innings party. For individual tickets, fan of the game, those will be $200, but if you act quick before October 15th, those tickets are $175 for the banquet only. Youth fan seating, if you're not able to attend, but you want to make sure that a Denver kid is able to attend, those tickets are $75. And the doubleheader ticket, $250, will get you into both events. So buy a ticket for you, buy a ticket for your spouse or significant other, and maybe even your kids. What else do we need? Silent auction donations are always accepted, and we'll have, again, the wall of wine. So bring your bottles of wine, $15 and up. They will be a part of the wall of wine that evening. Additional ideas. We've had good success with art, with weekend and week-long getaways, health and beauty items, the sights and sounds of Denver, the taste of Denver, and sports memorabilia will all be as part of the silent auction. And you can volunteer. If you just we need something to do to help out, we need particular help with the silent auction and a bunch of other things. There will be a whole lot more setup issues this year than we've had in the past. Call me, email me, talk to the Denver Rotary office. And this year, we have one lucky Rotarian winner who was one of our club members who voted for Anthony Rizzo. So I have for Bill West. Come on up, Bill. He's a new member, relatively new member, and he is the winner of a ticket to the event. Okay. And you get the opportunity to upgrade, of course, to the double header and bring your spouse to contribute a little more. So, for more information, you can always go to the branchrickey.org, branchrickeyaward.org website and order your tickets online. And now, I've got some information for you from Allison. Will tell us about the extra innings party.
Thank you, Charlie. Hello, fellow Rotarians and guests. I'm really excited to tell you about the additional new event we added this year. On behalf of the Emerging Professionals cohort, we have been planning the Extra Innings After Party. It starts immediately after the Branch Rickey Awards. It's going to be on the second floor. So all you have to just do is go down the steps and you're in it. And so some of the cool things we've got going on this year is we have that party band. They're going to be rocking the house. Old Chicago has stepped up and they're bringing unlimited deep dish Chicago-style pizza. We also have Kyle Bannister. He's a internationally recognized chalk artist, and he's going to be actually doing some live art. We've got Continental Sausage doing some sausage sandwiches, Great Divide beer, Kettlehead popcorn. We're doing Whiskeys of the World whiskey tasting. We're going to have a photo booth, and then we've also gotten Jason Hirsch. He's a former Rockies pitcher, and he's going to be running the speed pitch game. So spend that little extra money when you're buying your ticket to the awards dinner to get your $75 extra to the extra innings, because it's going to be a lot of fun. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Allison. This is going to be a great event, something we haven't seen before, so we really look forward to that addition. Now I'd like to bring up Julie Freshman, who is an independent insurance agent specializing in Medicare products, who will introduce our program speaker for today. Julie?
Thank you, President Jim. Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians and guests. My name is Julie Freshman, and I am honored to introduce today's Rotary topic. One is that's particularly aligned with our Rotary Club's commitment to education for all of Denver's youth, and I think just piggybacking on what Christy said is an illustration of the announcement of over $4 million in the time that Denver Kids has been involved, that we have a strong commitment to this programming. This is Denver Public Schools' Denver 2020 plan, and the design presents a simplified plan that encompasses strategic priority around leadership to ensure that we have the best leaders in our schools across the district. Ann Rowe, today's Master of Ceremonies, is the Vice President of the DPS School Board representing District 1, and she's going to be leading the discussion of the plan she was instrumental in designing. Policies, I believe, are most truly meaningful when accompanied by practical, real-life experiences. And to that end, Ms. Rowe has invited Ivan Duran, the Assistant Superintendent of Elementary Education, Anna Thielen, one senior at South High School, who is a member of the executive team of the DPS Student Board of Education, and our own Denver Rotary member and community partner, Glenna Norville, the President and CEO of Denver Kids. So together, this triad will be sharing their perspective on the plan. Anne was elected to the Denver School Board in 2011. However, her involvement in the school began 16 years ago when she became part of a small group of neighborhood parents that reopened Slavin School. She later went on and founded and served as co-chair of the Patriot Partners at George Washington High School. And in DPS, Ann has served as the founding co-chair and executive board member of A+ Denver, co-chair of the DPS Advisory Committee on Immigration and Integration, and as a member of the Superintendent Parents Forum. Ann is a Denver native, and she is also a small business owner and entrepreneur. She has over 20 years' experience in the publishing industry and 10 years in legal placement and concierge. She is a graduate of Stanford University and earned her MBA from the University of Denver. And she's lived in Southeast Denver with her husband Frank and 3 daughters, Kate, Tori, and Biz, since 1990. All of the girls went to Slavens and then graduated from GW. One is still at GW. In addition to her work in education, she's been a board member for Summer Scholars, Children's Campaign of Colorado, Girls Inc., Children's Museum of Colorado, and the executive committee of 2% Club of Denver. So she's no slacker. I would be remiss in not including a brief personal note. I have learned so much from this incredible woman. I've known Anne for about 15 years, and I have observed firsthand what community leadership looks like. She is a true visionary. She is determined, inclusive, steadfast. Her civic involvement is unmatched by most people I've ever met. She is always working with the best interest of the whole in mind, and she pretty much is the kind of person that you leave each conversation more inspired afterwards from. So it is my sincere privilege and honor to introduce the Honorable Anne Rowe.
Wow. Thank you, Julie. We just learned how old I really am. Appreciate it very much. And we are thrilled to be here today with you all. And I have to tell you, first, thank you for everything your club does for so many people. And just being here today, the positivity, and you can feel the community. I go to a lot of meetings, but I want to come to more of yours. So, yes. So, you know, it's so timely that we're here, and we appreciate it, and we want to talk about Denver Plan 2020. And I'm going to start off, and I know you would enjoy listening to me alone drone on about the Denver Plan, which I've been known to do. I thought I would actually bring it to life. And a strategic plan is only as good as the planning, but more importantly, the implementation. So I have 3 amazing people behind me, all playing different roles in the Denver Plan, both framing and, more importantly, the hard work begins now, the implementation. And the one thing I want you to note are several things. First of all, it's called the Denver Plan. It's not called the DPS Plan, and that is intentional. It is the Denver Plan because, as many of you in your involvement in community know, the most important asset we have is our education, our public education for our students in Denver. And so the Denver Plan is purposeful. It's a community plan because it's really going to take all of us. And we revised the Denver Plan, which was initially written in 2005, and it was revived in 2010. And the board officially adopted what we're calling Denver Plan 2020 in August. And the reason we revised it is twofold. First of all, since the inception of the Denver Plan, we've learned a lot. We've learned a lot about what is working for kids and what's not working. We've made progress. We're the fastest growing school district in the state and the fastest growing urban school district in the country. We're going to have almost 90,000 kids going to Denver Public Schools this year, which is wonderful. We've increased our graduation rate. We've dramatically reduced our dropout rate. We have more kids staying in school, achieving at higher levels, and yet, that's wonderful. What we also are acutely aware of is how far we have to go. While we've made great progress, our graduation rate, if you look at our 9th grade cohort, is still only at 69%. Our remediation rate is still way too high. So when you look at the top of Denver Plan 2020 and it says every child succeeds, that's exactly what we mean. Every child. Not 60%, not 80%, not 90%. And to get there, we have 5 very aspirational goals. And they have to be aspirational. And there's also only 5 of them. The previous Denver Plan had 21 goals. I don't know about you, but I can't even remember 21 things, much less try to do them all well. So the idea here for the Denver Plan 2020 is to focus on things that we believe are truly going to move our kids forward. Because the one thing that we feel incredibly strongly about, and it's part of our core beliefs, is that every one of our children comes to us with talent and potential. And we believe our job in Denver Public Schools, in the community of Denver, is to provide an environment where they can all pursue their talents and their potential. And when they walk across the stage with their DPS diploma, they are ready for their future, and it's their choice. They're ready for college, they're ready for career, they're ready to chart their path. And so I am now going to let these three wonderful people share various perspectives of the Denver plan. And as you're listening, you guys are already so engaged, and your commitment to Denver kids is extraordinary. But there is a place for every citizen in this city, in the Denver plan, and there needs to be a place because our kids deserve it. So with that said, I would like to introduce Ivan Duran. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Oh, we have to try that again. I got to go back and tell you, I was an elementary school teacher, so good afternoon, everyone. I'd love to start off today by first telling you that it's a pleasure and honor for me to work for Denver Public Schools. I'm a Denver Public Schools graduate. I graduated from Denver West High School along with my two older sisters, so it's a pleasure for me to be able to serve Denver in this way. I'm very excited to be with you this afternoon and talk to you about how are we implementing different parts of the Denver plan. It's a very challenging task that we have ahead of us, and one thing that Ann talked about, which I think is so critical, is about focus. In my role as assistant superintendent, I have the pleasure and honor, again, of also supervising our instructional superintendents who oversee all of our elementary schools that are district run. So we oversee the elementary and K-8 schools. We're broken into 6 networks spread across the city. And our primary goal for our instructional superintendents is to be out in our schools 60% of the time. So we've done everything at the district level to try to clear our calendars so that Tuesday through Thursday, they're out in the schools supporting those school leaders and our teachers in the development of their work so that they can be more effective in everything that we do. In the elementary division, we have really narrowed our focus to early childhood education. We're keying in on the early grades, and we're particularly focusing on kindergarten and 3rd grade. A couple of reasons why we're doing that. One, last year, about 60% of our kindergarten students left kindergarten at grade level. And in 3rd grade, our TCAP proficiency, which is a state assessment in reading, was also about 62%. So if you think about the impact of that, 40% of our 4th graders right now are not prepared for 4th grade and for future success. In addition, the key for this focus in the early childhood, there is some really powerful research that speaks to why it's so important. So I wanted to share a couple examples for you. Students who don't read proficiently by 3rd grade are 4 times more likely to leave without a diploma than proficient readers. It takes 4 times as long to remediate a student's poor reading skills by 4th grade as in kindergarten or early 1st grade. And finally, the racial and ethnic graduation gaps disappear when students master reading by the end of 3rd grade. So it speaks volumes to that if we can get it right in the early grades, we can have some great impact and potential for our students. The other one that I think is really important is about how does this affect our society. I use these numbers with our school leaders and our teachers on a regular basis because I think it really helps to bring perspective around what their role is, and I also share this with you now so you can think about what your role is. So if we did a better job about graduating our students, here's some of the potential economic impact. Compared to a high school dropout, a single high school graduate yields a public benefit of over $200,000 more in lower government spending and higher tax revenues. If the number of dropouts were cut in half, the government would likely to see a total of $45 billion in annual savings and additional revenues. I have a whole list of data points to talk through about why this is so important for us as not only a community here in Denver, but as a state, as a society, and as a nation. We have to fix this graduation challenge that we face, and we're trying to do this early in the grades. One of the great things about my job is that I get to go out and visit elementary schools on a regular basis. I spend at least 1 day a week visiting schools. Just this morning, I was in three kindergarten classrooms, and I want to be really candid with you that we have a long ways to go. The instructional quality is not to the levels that I would expect, and we have work to do. Last week, I was at another school, and I saw a similar pattern where we're just not seeing rigorous instruction that is important for our students. So we have to really think about how we're going to implement more effectively. We're doing that by providing more support to our school leaders and to our teachers through professional development. Of all the research that I've read about turnaround and highly impacted schools and how you really close the achievement gap, 3 things stand out: strong leadership, quality teaching, and quality learning. So those are the things that we're working on to really ensure that we make a difference for our students. The other part that I think is important is that some of our most impacted schools are dealing with students who come from really high levels of poverty, second language learners, and tend to have high mobility rates. In one of our schools that's over by Invesco Field, when we finished up some of the kindergarten assessments, which is one of the first assessments we give our kindergarten students, is to look to see what they know around early literacy. At this one school, 60% of the students come in without any of the 7 things that we would want. So the task is great because we have to accelerate those students in that year time that we have, and the only way we can do that is having really focused instruction. So it's one hand wonderful to go out and visit our classrooms and our schools to see some of the great work that's going on, but we also have a daunting task ahead of us. So we will always need your support and guidance, and I look forward to having conversations with any of you that would like to learn more about some of the work that we're doing. I would like to close the day by talking to you about the other thing that we've done in Denver is really focused on shared core values. We know that a staff and student culture in a building is powerful. Tom Boasberg, our superintendent, will often say, and I think this is a quote from Peter Drucker, that culture will eat strategic planning any day of the year. So I don't know if that's true or not, but from business perspective, that's something that we've seen. We know it's important to have really strong student cultures. In one of our schools, they have done a lot of work around helping students with understanding what values mean. So I have a little story for you. So I want you to think back to when you were in elementary school, what you did for recess. Did you play foursquare? Did you play tetherball, jacks, marbles, run around, swings, do all those kind of things? So in schools today, on most of our playgrounds, we still have foursquare. Remember foursquare, you hit the ball, you got to keep it within the lines. Well, at one of the elementary schools, I want you to kind of imagine and think about kind of a popular kid, kind of tough, kind of bullies the kids a little bit, just because he's a little intimidating. Well, he's playing foursquare out there one day, and he hits the line, so technically he should be out. Well, nobody calls him on it. No one says, hey, you're out, you should be out of here. So he goes on to actually start the next serve, and one of his buddies says, hey, you're out, man. And his friend looked at him and said, why are you calling me out? And his friend pointed at the line and said, it's about integrity, man. It's about integrity. So it's a great story because I think as we work to really help our students understand what it means to have integrity and to be held accountable, I have to believe that if we can do this and get it right in the elementary grades, in our early education programs, we may have more integrity in our world, which is something I think none of you can argue that we need more of. So thank you all for your support. And again, I look forward to any conversations that you love to have around the work that we're doing. We're excited about the work, but no, it's a great challenge. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ivan. This work is incredibly hard, but when we have leaders like Ivan and others taking the reins and pushing us forward, it gives you great confidence with support from all of us that we will get there. Next is a wonderful young woman, Anna Thielen. She is a senior at South High School. Go Rebels. She is also one of the leaders on our Student Board of Education. And the Student Board played an integral role in helping us frame the Denver Plan. My colleagues and I spent several meetings with them about what matters to them. And our students have a lot to say about their education. And they pushed us hard, and they asked hard questions. And they were particularly intrigued by the concept of a whole child goal, because after all, they are the whole child, and so they're living it and they understand it. So It was hard for Anna not to go to class. These kids also really like to go to class, but we convinced her to take a few minutes off today to share with you. So come on up, Anna.
I'm kind of regretting not wearing heels now. This is really tall. All right. So, like Ann said, I'm a senior at South High School, which means I'm kind of at the end of my DPS journey, unfortunately. But I grew up with DPS, and DPS was like my educational family, and like good families, they taught me tons of lessons along the way. For example, you see in first grade, I got my first job. And you might be thinking, wow, what a talented kid. But you see, this job wasn't paid. And so my job was every morning I would have to take this carton of lunch boxes down to the cafeteria and leave them there so that when lunch came around, everyone would have their lunches. And this actually turned out to be one of my first lessons in responsibility and the value of doing things to the best of my ability, no matter what the task was. And so I continued my DPS journey. I went to elementary school at Steele, I went to middle school at DCIS, and then I went to South High School, and then things kind of changed. So recently I gave a speech at DPS Day, and as I stood there lecturing about geese in front of 1,500 people, as I stood there, I started realizing that I didn't want to just stand there and speak for myself, but I wanted to stand there and speak for everyone so that every student had a voice. So this is why I believe in the Denver Plan. Here laid out in front of us is written steps towards a better tomorrow. While this plan was in progress, the board came in and talked to some students to get student input on it, and they said, what do you think about this? And I don't know what everyone else thought, but I was thinking, oh my God, they're actually asking us what we think. This is awesome. And I was so excited. But not only did they ask us for our opinions, but they took our opinions, they took our comments and concerns, and then tailored the Denver Plan to fit what we had said, which was pretty amazing. So this is why, as a part of DPS, I feel as though us, as students, can take ownership of this plan, and we have enough pride in it to push this plan forward. When you really look at it, student voice is in that plan, and I think that's really amazing. Sure, our ambitions are big, and is everything going to be perfect tomorrow? Probably not. But as a student, it's thrilling to know that we have a plan to work towards that better tomorrow. And I think that I can say safely that we as students want to succeed. So as a message to the board and to you, thank you so much for listening, because we believe in student voice, a brighter future, and we need all of you to help us get there. Thanks.
Okay, there's probably only one person that could follow that act, and it's a person who needs no introduction in this room. But again, the community partnership around education in Denver is so strong, and I asked Glenna, because who better than to speak about that with regard to our pursuing Denver Plan 2020. Glenna?
Wow. So I had some notes, and as I was listening, I decided I'm just going to put them aside because there's really only 2 points that I want to make. And I want to start by saying that Denver Kids shares the vision of DPS. We believe that every child can succeed, and we want to be there to support them all along the way. That there is no limiting circumstance big enough to actually prevent that from happening if we align ourselves in a way to provide the support that all of our kids desire or deserve, no matter what zip code that they're born in, no matter what color of their skin, no matter how much money that their parents make. They deserve that, and we can help them get there. So we share that vision. We share the core values of DPS. We now share a plan named 2020. We've been working on a 2020 vision for a long time. I think the 2 points that I want to make, first of all, is that We're the bridge between school and home. That's what Denver Kids does. We find ourselves in their third goal, and Anne's going to tell you how it is that you can actually access the plan. Please go read it. It's literally 5 pages. And if this is going to work, as she said, we all have to get behind it. But where Denver, we can find ourselves in all of the goals, but where I think it's most obvious is the third goal, which Anne spoke about, which is support of the whole child. That's what we do. That's the space that we live in. That's the work that we wake up every day privileged to get to do. That's what our educational counselors work on. They're there to navigate a system. They're there to make sure that all of the resources are there that our kids deserve, just like your kids, just like my kids. They're there to remove barriers. They're there to work on the character development, the social, emotional support of that child. So we are delighted that DPS actually called that out as a goal. And one of the things you want to know about DPS is that they're leading the way in the nation. And I used to work for Michael Bennett, and one of the things that he said was, we can lead the way. Our district can be the best urban school district in the country. And I heard Wendy Kump, who founded Teach for America, speak the other day, and Senator Michael Johnston. We absolutely can do this. We know what it takes, and DPS is leading the way. The second thing that we do is we help transition kids as they move from elementary to middle, which is a critical time period, as they move from middle school to high school, and then as they move to high school on to what's next. Our goal is to not only graduate them, but graduate them college and career ready. This is tough work. You heard Ivan say it, but we know what it takes to do it. I want to end by sharing one example of the work that Denver Kids does that Rotary can actually feel really proud about. So a couple of months ago, I asked the staff to get me out in front of kids because I'm looking at numbers too much, and they asked me to drive a group of middle school students down to the Ryla camp, which you all support. And I took 3 boys and 3 girls, all 13 years old. You can imagine what the van was like. The girls, front seat, talking, chatting. The boys, back seat, not saying a word. That's how we started the trip. We got down to Ryla. I turned them loose. They were scared to death. They'd never been to camp before. They looked different than most of the campers there. They didn't have parents dropping them off. They had some strange woman dropping them off. I go back a week later to pick them up. I had 2 people pull me aside and said, "You should feel so proud of your Denver Kids. Our lives are different because we got to work with them." That was worth the price of admission right there. On the way home, now the boys are in the front. They're chatty. Everyone's chatty. Everyone's life has been transformed, literally. We're driving into Denver. One young man, Yvonne, is sitting behind me. I hear him very quietly say, "It's dirty here." So now I'm tuned in. No one else heard this in the van. I can hear him. The next thing he said is, "When I was at camp, there were no drug dealers. There was no violence. Miss, can I be a camp counselor?" His life got transformed because of you all. That's the work that we do. That's support of the whole child. Pay attention to this. Own it. This is our plan, the Denver Plan, and we're so grateful for the long-term support. You founded Denver Kids with Denver Public Schools 70 years ago. The reason we're here is because of you all. Thank you very much, and I'm going to turn it back over to Anne.
Okay. Thank you so much. I wanted to turn this over to all of you for questions. We've got some microphones here. Will and Jay will help us out. Do we have any questions about the Denver Plan or about any aspect of the portions of the Denver Plan? Right here. David?
Could you speak a little bit to charter schools versus traditional schools? There's always going to be a controversy, and I guess some of the subject matter is how are they actually governed? And then I guess the secondary question is DPS a choice school system? And how do lotteries work if kids can't get in?
All right, two very good questions, and there's a lot to both. So, and I'm going to speak about DPS, and we do have charter schools. Every one of our charter schools is a public charter school, and while they are independently governed, they are public, they are not privately run. We also have an agreement with our charter schools, and so as we look at them from a governance team, and I'm speaking a little bit personally here, as I look at our schools, I'm somewhat agnostic, and when I say that, I care about what's happening inside the school and that they are all public schools and our kids have access to them. DPS is a choice district, which means a child can go to any school they want to, and if there is space. Most of our schools also have boundaries, so in other words, geographic boundaries with priority. There are other priorities, but it does vary greatly. And then after you get through the priorities, there is a lottery system, and many of our higher performing schools do have wait lists. Sure.
Yes, I'm curious of DPS and Denver Kids, for that matter, view of Common Core standards, all that controversy.
Yeah. Thank you. Gosh, you guys ask really big questions. This is awesome. So at DPS, as we look at the Common Core, we are deeply committed to implementing the Common Core. And in fact, we've been doing some pre-work on it over the last several years. And I'll tell you why. Oh, good. We have one fan. That's great. Because Common Core is so aligned as you go all the way from kindergarten through 12th grade to ensure our kids have the skills. It is narrower and deeper. It works on things like analysis, writing, critical thinking, the kinds of skills that we all use as adults. It doesn't mean you're not learning content. You are. The change is going to be very challenging, but when we talk to our educators, they're excited. They're excited because they can go deep with their kids. So we are deeply committed to it at DPS, and I'll let Glenda respond.
We're completely in support of it as well, and I'll tell you why. Because one of our jobs is we're not school-based, we're child-centered. So as the child moves from different schools, and our population is very, very mobile, there's consistency of what the expectations are for those childs. And what we've discovered in the past is that you can move from one school to another and have a completely different expectation. My understanding is there's still a lot of room for creative teaching and the way that curriculum is delivered, but that you have a common standard by which you are measuring progress. And that is so important for the population that struggles with being able to attend one school in one place. So we're in complete support of it.
That's without my board support. We have time for one last question. Yes.
I have recently read a report that it is the disadvantaged children who lose the most academically over the summer. And I'm aware of school districts, my grandchildren in Australia go to school this way. They have they have 4 terms and about 3 weeks off between the terms. Now, I doubt that there are very many children in the DPS district that care for cattle, fertilize fields, and harvest crops. So I wonder if it's about time that we modernize our schedule so that the disadvantaged children don't lose so much with 3 months off.
Now I get to, I'm your fan now, by the way, and others can jump in. I think what you said was incredibly well said. And actually, if you look at many of our schools, they're changing the school year, the length of the day, because we do have flexibility for our schools and innovation. You know, if I could wave a magic wand, I would go to a very similar system that you are talking about. But we have 3 important things that we can grab our hands around in our resources, and that's time, which you were just talking about, money, and people. and every one of them is critical, and we have to move forward differently. And we are an insanely human business. So the people factor of this, the fine people behind me, all of you, and most importantly, our educators and our leaders, is where we need to really put our energy to help our kids. But really appreciate that thought.
Thank you, Ann, and thanks all. Let's give a hand to all four of our speakers today. We also have some gifts for each of you in commemoration of our Branch Rickey Award, which you already heard about before you leave. You're very welcome. And we have one more gift for you, Ann. As you heard, the funds that come from our Branch Rickey event go to our local foundation. We have other things that Rotary does. One of those is the eradication of polio, and we are this close, but we're not quite there yet. In fact, polio is just a plane ride away from the United States. And so in recognition of your talk today, we will be giving a donation to our End Polio Now effort. Our local foundation will do that. And the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation will match that, such that this donation will result in the inoculation of 150 children. Actually, this describes a little bit more about it. And we'll inoculate 50 children, and 150 total with that match. So this is something you can wear to commemorate that. And thank you again for your wonderful talk today. What a wonderful thing to get behind. Denver 2020, that's really what we're supporting indirectly through our Branch Rickey Award. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks also, Ryan, for being here today. Thank you also for coming on November 14th. Really looking forward to your emceeing our event. I look forward to all of you, every one of you, buying a ticket to Branch Rickey. I've already purchased mine online, and I wanted to announce that next week we will be back here for a program by Eric Sonderman, independent political analyst and media commentator, to talk about the political scene in Colorado. The title of his program will be The Political Lay of the Land, an Independent and Worried Perspective. Thank you all. We will be at the rooftop next week. Pray for good weather and have a good week. Thank you.